The internet has definitely encouraged change in the way that it makes information easier to be accessed, and the internet also can relate to any age group. The primary message that I got from the video is that the internet can have an effect on anyone that comes in contact with it. One implication that a future teacher could have is that not everything on the internet is something that a student needs to come in contact with. The podcast that I listened to talks about how students should be learning mastery of skills instead of just learning something and then taking a test over it. One of the main points that the teacher talked about was that math students learn material by lectures and then homework, and each day they do this, and by the end of 2 or 3 weeks they have a test and each student receives a score or grade. And then one student can get a 75%, another a 90, and one a 94. And so once they get those test scores, it doesn't matter. They just move on to another subject, and typically, the next subject builds on the topic that was just covered. So the student that only received a 75% on his score for his test, he didn't master 25% of the material, and he could have gaps that they're learning in the next material, so he doesn't understand. And then when he gets into higher math classes, he won't understand because he hasn't mastered the basic things to help him. He missed 25% of that, and there was no way that the teacher went back to it. They just move on to the next subject. And a way that Web 2.0 can be used in the classroom is by having a podcast of each lecture that the teacher does. So if the student does have any questions, they can refer back to that podcast. And I believe that social media can be used in a positive way in the educational system. So many students today use these sites more than they would use like LMS or Blackboard. As just an example, they are more apt to get on those and check those daily on a regular basis than to check the site that their school puts up. So I think utilizing them could be very helpful. And I used the social bookmarking tool Dig. I thought it was very useful and great because it was more about the news and events happening in our country rather than just random things. And this was a more educational bookmarking tool.